fine. We'll hold me right to it. So good morning, everyone. I'm Sherrie Young with the Credit Coalition. I'm the Executive Director and Educator there. And we bring our Fundamentals of Good Credit class to the Beaumont area. I'm from Houston. And so we bring it in every spring and fall. And we will be here, as he said, in February. We'll talk more about that at the end. So I'm here to kind of start the process today on talking about the importance of knowing your personal credit. If you're here, whether you're planning on buying a home now, in the future, if you're already a homeowner, you're just coming to see what this is about, maybe you want to share information with someone else. I have a lot of information outside on the table on the first step is get that copy of your personal credit report. If you haven't seen a personal credit report, then you're doing yourself an injustice because that personal credit report is your gateway to what a lender is going to see about you in your bill paying past. Who in here has seen a personal credit report in the last 12 months? Is anyone? If you have, how have you seen it? How did you order that credit report? Can you share with me? Did anybody use Credit Karma or Quizzle or Credit Sesame? Quizzle is now bankrate.com, but if you use those reports, those are not your full reports. Those are partial reports. The true free report is through annualcreditreport.com. Federal law was passed back in 2003 that allows all of us to see all of our personal reports once every 12 months for free. So if you haven't seen that report, then again, you're not seeing the full vision of your past reporting history. Those credit reports that we get through the federal annualcreditreport.com does not include a credit score. How many of y'all know your credit score right now? You say you know your credit score. Are you sure? Do you know there's hundreds of different versions of credit scores? The score that you know is a constant flowing number. And the score that you think you know or that you saw recently may not be the same score that your lenders use. Different lenders, different creditors use different scoring models. So if you're seeing one score and you're thinking, oh, this is me and I'm good, I don't need to do anything else because my score is X, again, you may be fooling yourself without really realizing you're fooling yourself because that score may have no bearing on the product that you're going to apply for. Not all mortgage lenders base their decision on a score. It may be the piece that gets the door open, but we don't know which score that lender's using. And even though they may say, oh, we use a FICO, the FICO versions that we as consumers see would not be the same score that a lender pulls, especially since the only score that matters is the score that they pull on that particular day and time. So getting back to our credit reports. Our credit reports as of July of 17, there was a major change. And that is that public records can no longer be reported on Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. If you have a public record, that is if somebody sued you, if you have the one thing that does stay on there are bankruptcies. It does still report, bankruptcies report, but anything else does not report. We have many people in our classes that say they get the credit report and they knew that, or they'd seen in the past that an apartment complex possibly took them to court and sued them for an outstanding balance. Maybe they left their lease early or there was a discrepancy with what they owed. And so they moved on, and then the apartment complex management company sued them in court and won a judgment. Now when we pull our personal credit reports, those judgments no longer are there. They don't appear. That doesn't mean you don't have a judgment against you. So we as consumers, in order to see if we have any public records recorded on us in the courthouses, we're able to go into what's called the LexisNexis full file disclosure. That LexisNexis, also on the table outside, I have a handout that has both the annualcreditreport.com form as well as the LexisNexis full file disclosure request form. Even if you think there has been no public judgment or public information reported on you, you paid all your bills on time, there's been no reason for anybody to sue you, how do you know somebody else hasn't used your good name and you have become a victim of fraud or identity theft, and then that individual was sued under your name? How do you know that unless you look at these reports? These reports are part of that LexisNexis full file, is part of that 2003 law that allows all of us to see all of our consumer reports. People say, well, I don't need to see it because I know my credit's good. I saw on Quizzle or Karma or Says Me I have a great credit score, or I use my Discover card, or my bank presents me with a score. People that have high credit scores could still have identity theft against their name. Creditors are people that abuse us as far as use our credit, use our name to open credit. Sometimes they pay the bills. They're using us to develop a new identity for themselves, so they'll pay the bills and continue to pay those bills. But if it's not your debt, it should not be listed on your credit report or in your LexisNexis report. So when you get these reports back, there's a good, I'm stumbling over my words here, so I apologize, because I know I always hate being stuck on the time here. That means do I have 21 minutes left? Oh, I've got plenty of time to talk. Jeez, I'm just sitting there rambling on here for you, trying to hurry. Now I lost my track. Let me give a little disclaimer about myself. I have just been visiting my grandchildren in Oregon, and we took a drive home. It took us 6 days to get home. It was a long drive, and so my head is still kind of in that rolling, rambling, driving. And this morning when I drove in from Houston, I was back in that same rolling, rambling, driving. So you have to I have to apologize to you for that. All right, so back to this. When we get those credit reports or those LexisNexis reports and we see there's misinformation, how do you clean that? How do you correct it? Do you know? Anybody want to share? You file your dispute directly with the credit bureau that's reporting it, or the entity on the LexisNexis report. Do you have to pay anybody to do that? No, that is totally free. Now, there may be companies around that advertise they can clean your credit for you. You know, there's nothing those companies can do for money that you can't do for yourself for free. But it all starts with that personal credit report. You get the credit report. Each credit report that you receive when you order it through annualcreditreport.com, I would suggest you order all three, especially if you're planning on making a major purchase in the next 12 months. If there's anything wrong on that report, it gives you the instructions on what to do your dispute. Again, there is nothing you need to pay to file that dispute. No matter what you hear on TV or late night TV or on the radios where these companies will say, oh great, pay us this money and we will clean your credit. No, there's nothing they can do for money that you can't do for yourself for free. Now, I started out talking about the credit score, how it's different, and there's different scoring models, and we shouldn't be all caught up in what that number is because it's constantly fluid, always changing and moving depending on what's reported on the credit report. And reported doesn't mean negative, it just means anything reported. But for those of you that have heard on TV where these companies can say they can raise that credit score overnight and get your score up so you can qualify, have you ever heard those commercials? Do you know, again, you don't need to pay somebody to get your credit score up. It all starts with first seeing that personal credit report. Then once you see who you owe and what you owe, if you have active credit accounts right now, how many of you shop during the Christmas season? Anybody shop? Nobody in here shopped? Did anybody use credit during the Christmas season? Did anybody, when they were at the register, say, when they offered you at Kohl's at 35% off, if you go ahead and open an account today, did anybody do that? No? Oh, well, I must confess. At 35% off, that was a deal. Man, my daughter-in-law kept loading stuff in her baskets. And so they asked me to pay, right? So, okay, I was going to help them get a few extra little things for Christmas. And lo and behold, it just kept coming. It was like, okay, where did we get all these things from? Dana says, oh, it's just a few things. When I saw what that amount was, I was adding up, and she said, would you like to apply for a Kohl's card today? You get 35% off. I said, heck yeah. Can I say heck? Sorry. Yeah, I sure am. And so sometimes we go ahead and we let them pull our credit. We say, yes, I'm going to apply. Now I have a hard inquiry. And I also have a new credit item on my credit report. And I have a balance on that account, at least for this first month. It's going to report as a balance. The new inquiry, the new account, and this balance are all going to affect my credit score, the score the lender's going to see, the score the lender pulls. It's going to affect that score. But not to worry, over time, it takes time. As I reduce that debt, I would hope I could pay it off in full in a month, but that isn't going to happen because it was a little bit larger than I expected it to be. I'm going to have to take a couple of months, have a plan to pay it down. But that new credit account will not even help me for at least 6 months. The new credit account will impact my credit score for the first 6 months because it's considered a new piece of credit. Over the next few months, I am going to strive to get that account down to 0, but until I get it to at least less than 30% of the limit, it is going to impact my score. The credit scoring model, according to FICO, Fair Isaac, they like to see your balances, all of our balances, less than 30% of our limit. So that means unless you have your statement in front of you, you may not realize what your balance is that's being reported to the credit bureau. So that's why we want you to get those credit reports. What is reported? When is it reported? What is that balance? So back to getting your credit score up. Once you have an account and it's at least open, a credit account, it's at least open for 6 months. If you can bring those balances down and have the balance reported less than 30% of your limit, in other words, never put more than 30% of the limit on that account, then that's going to get that score up. So right now, if I have a $1,000 limit and I'm at $999, that's going to impact my credit score. It's a new account, so it is still impacting my credit score. It's going to take at least 6 months for that account to be open for it to help my score. Then I also need to keep that balance down to no more than 30%. So I need to do as much as I can to pay that balance down to no more than $300. And then the best thing to do for a credit score, according to FICO, if you use it, don't let it go more than 30%, but pay it off every month. Use it, pay it off. For old accounts or existing accounts that you have, according to FICO, in order for it to impact and empower the credit score, raise the score, keep the score up, you need to use that account at least once every 6 months for that account to remain active. So we're not here to tell you go out and start charging up credit. That's not the purpose of our place at the Credit Coalition, nor here at the iOWN 19 event. What I'm just trying to share with you are tips and information on so that you can see where you are financially once you get that personal credit report. If you see that personal credit report and there's history on there, past history that is yours, and you're going, hey, geez, this doesn't look good. Well, the credit reporting agency and the credit scoring models, they can only build a score based on active credit. So if you have no active credit, my son decided to go all cash. He had a time in his life where he used credit. He raced motorcycles professionally, and so he lived on his credit cards. He got to the point where he realized that he needed to earn a different type of living, and so he decided, because he had so much credit card debt, he was going to walk away from the credit card industry and just start paying down those credit cards as he could. So basically, a lot of things went to collections. He went into payment plans. He slowly but surely got those balances down to 0, but he had no reporting open credit. He was ready to buy his house. He made a very good income. He found his house. He was so excited. He went to the lender, and the mistake he made initially was he didn't listen to his mom. But number 2, he found the house before he got pre-approved for his loan. He didn't know what his buying power was. He just assumed because he had good income and he had cash and money in the bank that he was going to be good to go for a loan. He needed a loan. He did not listen to me. Not that I was trying to tell him how to live his life, but I was trying to be his mom. And he did not care to hear what I had to say. So he found that house, and then he went to the lender and said, okay, I'm ready to buy this house. He was denied. He says he couldn't believe it. How could he be denied a loan? Because he had this great job and he had money. How could he be denied a loan? It's because when the lender pulled that credit report, his past credit history showed, although it was 4 years past, that past credit history did not indicate he knew how to pay his bills and keep bills paid on time. Sure, he had paid those balances off. He had negotiated on some and paid some others off in full. But he didn't have anything currently reporting to the credit bureau that showed he knew how to pay his payments. The loan officer, he actually went to 3 different loan officers. The third one he went to said, look, I know you want to buy this house, but it's going to take time to qualify for a good loan. He suggested he go to his bank or credit union and open up a secured credit card. My son was insulted. A secured credit card, a $300 limit? Are you kidding? I make XYZ money and you're telling me I have to get a secured card? He couldn't qualify for any other credit card because of his past credit history. So he bit the bullet, went in and talked to his bank. He opened up a secured card. He deposited that $300 into the account, and then they allowed him a Visa MasterCard with a $300 limit. He used it. He paid it off. He used it. He kept that balance less than 30%. By the time the 7 months rolled past, it takes 6 months for that new account to empower the credit score. 7 months later, he went back. He lost the house that he wanted to buy. That deal was done. But he went back to the lender this time. Before he found the next house, he actually went back to the lender and said, okay, now, can we look at this again? And lo and behold, his credit score jumped way up. Now, I don't want to give indication that everybody's score is going to jump way up, but his was so low that it only could go up. And so with just that, and he also got one other loan, a small loan. He paid that off in full. With that and time on his side, his score went up and he qualified for a certain dollar amount to purchase a home. He then knew what his buying power was. He knew it was on that credit report. And then he found his realtor. From there, they found their dream home, at least their first dream home. So again, the process of home buying, the process of any type of credit all begins with that credit report. So I cannot stress enough, if you decide to come to the Fundamentals of Good Credit class, we have, I don't know if y'all have the slides up here, but if not, we have, oh, okay, I'm looking backwards and it's right there. If you decide to come to the Fundamentals of Good Credit class, we'll be here, it will be at the Antioch Missionary Baptist Church. And there we go. That's our, have you seen your free credit specialty reports? So we can go on. Next slide, please. There we've talked about that. Review your credit reports at least once a year and clean up your own report. Next. There we go. This is the Fundamentals of Good Credit class that's coming. We meet the education requirements for the local down payment assistance programs. As a HUD-approved housing counseling agency, our class, again, if you take our class, one of the homework assignments you're going to get is to order that annual creditreport.com report. We're also going to ask everyone to order the LexisNexis report. If you do decide to join us in class and you already do that, you're that much ahead of the other folks in the class by doing that assignment. We will meet 4 sessions. We have a total of 15 hours, so we hope that you decide you want to come and see us. If you're working with another agency in town already, there is another HUD-approved housing counseling agency in town, Catholic Charities. They at this time are not doing the education classes. But if you're working with one of the other faith builders, again, if you're using the Harris County, sorry, we're not Harris County. If you're using Jefferson County, or if you decide to move to Houston, come on down. But if you're going to use the down payment assistance programs, they're most likely going to send you back to a HUD-approved housing counseling agency class, and that's where we are. We're one of those. So we come fall and we come spring. But anyway, please come and join us in our classes. Our classes are free. We're not going to sell you anything, but we will, if you're honest with yourself, during that period of time, you will know exactly where you stand financially, and you'll have the tools and the tips to be able to move forward to reach your future housing goals. So again, this class is not the answer. It's not going to just, be the answer for everything. Not everybody that comes to our class, they may realize they're not ready as they thought to purchase. Well, that's a good piece too, because as an informed consumer, you're not going to be pushed into or moved towards doing something you really wish you wouldn't have done. And you're going to hear everybody here today, as well as any home buyer education class you take. That is what we should all be sharing with everyone in class, that homeownership is wonderful, but it's not for everyone. And sometimes when we think we're ready for homeownership, we're really not. And other times when we think we're not, we might be. So keep an open mind, get that copy of that personal credit report, order your LexisNexis full file. Do not co-sign for anyone. Make sure that the information that is on your credit report is truly yours. If you are planning on making a major purchase in the next 12 months, don't be like me. Don't apply for any new credit, because that credit inquiry could make the difference between getting that loan or not getting that loan, or being like my son and having to wait longer to reestablish or to establish that new score or that new loan process that you're trying to go through. So I think we're going to have questions and answers later, and I want to give you all as much time as you can. So last time I took it right down to the moment, but today I'm going to pass this on to you.